This video is part of a professional learning toolkit, which is based on the What Works Clearinghouse Practice Guide, Improving Reading Comprehension in Kindergarten through 3rd Grade. You will learn about one of the 6 evidence-based comprehension strategies shown to impact reading comprehension as defined in the practice guide. This video highlights the comprehension strategy, visualizing. When you read, do you imagine what is happening in the text in your head? If so, you are applying a strategy called visualizing. The What Works Clearinghouse Improving Reading Comprehension in Kindergarten through 3rd Grade Practice Guide describes visualizing as a reading comprehension strategy that asks students to develop a mental image of what is being described in the text. Visualization not only includes images, but also smells, sounds, and other sensory experiences. When students visualize, they use details from the text to imagine or see images of what they are reading. This intentional mental practice helps students understand what is happening in a text and makes it easier to comprehend and remember what they read. Creating a picture in your mind can also make a text more interesting and engaging. You can explain to your students how reading can play like a TV show or a movie in their minds. This is a great way to introduce them to the reading strategy of visualizing. Like watching TV, the better they can see the plot play out in their minds, the more they can feel like they are part of the story and can better understand key details. As students read, they can hone and modify the pictures in their minds, which will in turn increase their comprehension of the text. Visualizing is an effective reading comprehension strategy that can be leveraged with both narrative texts and informational texts. Our role as teachers is to help our students develop and strengthen their ability to visualize what they are reading on their own, which requires both explicit instruction and support. The visuals they create in their minds can help them remember key details later. This strategy is not only fun, visualizing is supported by evidence from the practice guide. There are a few suggestions for supporting students to visualize in the practice guide on page 12. These activities can help support you in practicing the strategy with your students. Here are other ways, beyond the activities outlined in the practice guide, to engage your students in the strategy of visualizing. Lights, camera, action. For this activity, choose a visually descriptive passage or text from a book you are reading in class. First, ask students to pretend what they're about to hear is a movie in their mind. Then have students close their eyes. Read the passage out loud to the class. Model how to visualize by saying, "I can picture a field with tall grass and a lot of trees. This appeals to several of my senses because I can feel the warm sun and gentle breeze. I can smell the flowers, which I am imagining to be small and purple. If this were a movie, I'd be picking them. Can you see that picture in your mind? What else can you see in your movie?" Then have students keep their eyes closed while you read the next passage. This time, have them share out first, while prompting and supporting them as needed. Here's another activity called The Picture in My Brain. First, distribute sticky notes to the students. Then, while students read independently, have them use the sticky notes to mark the pages where the text prompted them to visualize something. On the sticky notes, they might write or draw a description of what they imagined in their brain. For example, if the text said, "It was dark. There was a sound coming from behind the garbage can," the student might place a sticky note on that page and write, "In my head, I can see a dirty trash can overflowing with trash and some pieces of trash on the ground. I can imagine the sound of an animal rummaging through the trash, searching for something to eat." After they finish reading, allow time for students to share the passage they marked with the class or in pairs, explain, "In my mind or brain, I could see," and reflect on how it helped them to understand the text better. These activities should be done as a whole class at first, then support students to work in pairs and then to work independently. This process models a gradual release of responsibility, which allows students to develop and hone their understanding of the strategy before demonstrating it independently. It is important to describe and model visualizing over the course of the year so that the strategy becomes routine as students read, when the image in their mind becomes as automatic as when they're watching TV. Visualizing can also be combined with other strategies like summarizing or predicting, which you can find in other videos as part of this toolkit. As students develop and sharpen the ability to visualize, they can learn to leverage visualizing as a strategy that will not only make their reading more interesting, engaging, and clear, but also one that makes reading more fun and comprehension easier.